Hey everyone, welcome to the Googlets historical playlist where we dive into the weird, wild, and unbelievable corners of history. Today, we're unmasking 5 of the most bizarre fraud cases ever. We'll travel through time and across continents to meet the con artists who tricked nations, investors, and even some of history's biggest names. Ready to get fooled by history? Let's jump in. All right, picture this. It's the early 19th century. Our first trickster, Gregor McGregor, is a Scotsman who'd been off fighting for Venezuelan independence. But soldiering just didn't pay the bills, so he came up with a genius idea, a fake country scam.
I claim to own a kingdom along the coast of Central America thanks to a deal I supposedly struck with a local chief. I named it Poyais and gave myself the title Prince. Back in London, I hyped Poyais as paradise on earth, a lush land bursting with resources perfect for settlers and investors.
He even printed currency for his country, sold plots of land, and convinced hundreds of Europeans to invest and even relocate. But when settlers arrived, they found nothing but dense jungle and dangerous wildlife. No farms, no civilization, just pure, uninhabitable land. It was a total scam. Incredibly, McGregor kept up the ruse for years before escaping to Venezuela, where he lived out his life in peace, leaving behind a legacy as one of history's biggest frauds. Next up, let's meet Victor Lustig, the man who sold the Eiffel Tower. Yes, you heard that right. Lustig, born Robert Miller in Austria-Hungary, was a career con artist who used charm, wit, and forged documents to pull off scams worldwide.
In 1925, I posed as a French government official, claiming the Eiffel Tower was too expensive to maintain. I convinced a scrap metal dealer to buy the landmark by suggesting it be scrapped. The deal included a hefty bribe to keep things confidential.
After pocketing the cash, Lustig vanished. But here's the twist. He returned to Paris a month later and sold the Eiffel Tower again, using the exact same trick. When the authorities finally caught up with him, Lustig fled to the US and moved into counterfeiting, eventually getting arrested for producing fake currency. The man who sold the Eiffel Tower remained a legend, proving that sometimes a good scam really can fool people twice. For our third story, we go to the 17th century in England, where Matthew Hopkins made a fortune by hunting witches.
In the 1640s, England was rife with superstition, and I took full advantage.
Hopkins appointed himself Witchfinder General and began offering his services to towns eager to rid themselves of supposed witches.
I charged fees for these exorcisms, using brutal and often deadly methods to prove someone was a witch, like sleep deprivation, dunking suspects in water, and pricking them with needles. If someone floated or didn't bleed, they were pronounced guilty. Over just a year, I was responsible for over 230 deaths, more than all other witch hunters combined over 160 years.
He became so notorious that some towns introduced a special tax just to pay him off.
But my witch hunting days ended in 1647 when I died, ironically, of tuberculosis.
After his death, the witch hunt craze in England subsided. Next, we have Charles Ponzi, the man behind the world's first famous financial pyramid scheme, which became so notorious that his name is now shorthand for this type of fraud.
I arrived in Boston in 1903, broke but brimming with ideas.
He launched the Securities Exchange Company in the 1920s, promising investors a 50% return in just 45 days by investing in international bonds.
In reality, I was just paying old investors with the money from new investors, a classic pyramid scheme.
Ponzi's scheme pulled in over 17,000 people and eventually collapsed, leaving investors with massive losses.
After serving time in prison, I fled to Brazil, where I lived out my days penniless, but with my legacy firmly cemented in financial history.
Finally, let's talk about the South Sea Bubble, a 1720s financial scandal that rocked Britain. The South Sea Company, formed to manage British government debt, promised huge profits by monopolizing trade with Spanish colonies in South America. Company leaders exaggerated its value, claiming the Spanish had opened their ports, even though they hadn't. As stock prices skyrocketed, everyone invested, including the famed scientist Isaac Newton, who famously said, "I can calculate the motion of stars, but not the madness of people." Eventually, the bubble burst, wiping out fortunes and leading to political scandal. The company never truly recovered, but the South Sea bubble remains a classic tale of hype, greed, and financial disaster. And there you have it, 5 of the wildest fraud cases in history, from imaginary countries to selling monuments, witch-hunting profiteers, financial pyramids, and hype-driven bubbles. These stories remind us that some things really are too good to be true. If you enjoyed today's episode, give us a like, subscribe, and hit that bell to catch all our new videos. Comments which scam surprised you the most. And stay tuned to Googlets for more bizarre and fascinating history. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.